Okay, just waiting notification. Perfect. Okay, boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have an incredible guest with us today, one who's going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than student minister Munir Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam.
Yes, sir. This means a lot to myself, my family, and the viewing audience that you would take time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast today. The first question that we have for you, sir, is when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Oh, I just want to correct something for you before I go into that. I'm not a student minister, brother. I am a study group coordinator. I do not have 40 under my charge at this point. So I aspire to get to that level, but I'm not there at this time.
Okay.
I first heard the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in 1962. I was a child. I was 7 years old at that child, and I love to tell this story. Would you like to hear this?
Absolutely.
My father came home one day. Malcolm X was the minister of Mosque Number 7 at the time. And my father came home one day and said to my mother, Harriet, I want all of the pork that's in the refrigerator. He used some expletives that I can't say here, out of the refrigerator. And we're not eating no more pork chops, and we're not eating any more of them goddamn Franks. So we're not, that crap is coming out of the refrigerator. And as a child, I hated pork chops and I hated Franks, which were made out of pork at the time, mostly. And so from that day forward, I was convinced of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that they were for me. And so, but it was in 1962. My father worked for the New York City Transit Authority, and many of the workers in that work gang were followers of the Nation of Islam and very close friends of his. And they had convinced him that of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he then brought that home to his family. My father was a regular attendee of Mosque Number 7 after that point. And whenever he went to the mosque, he would come home and sit the children around and recite to us everything that he heard. And I became immediately enamored with this mission.
All praise to Allah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And thank everyone who continues to watch and show love. All right. My next question for you, sir, is so you heard the teachings in 1962. How old were you? Well, no, not how old were you? How did the departure of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, how did that affect you and your family?
Well, that was several years later. This is 1975 at that point. Yes, I'm 20 years old at that point. I had received my own ex as an adult when I turned 16 in 1971. And so I was an active member. Yusuf Shah was the captain at that time, and he was very demanding. And so if you were of age as FOI, you were expected to take a full complement of the Muhammad Speaks newspaper, a minimum of 100, which I religiously distributed. And also you were expected to have a job, whether part-time or whatever, or be in school. I had a job and I worked in school. I went to school. And so by the time of 1975 comes around, my whole life had been, because you skipped through a whole lot of history there, I'll tell you the truth.
Yes, sir.
Had been surrounded by the mission. I really loved the teachings. The children in my neighborhood thought I was crazy because I used to preach in the street about what the Nation of Islam was about. And you have to understand, this is the 1960s at that point when I'm a child, and to say that you were black and to say that you were God and to say, mention Master Fard Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and any of that. And they didn't even know Minister Farrakhan at that point. It was something strange to them. But as of 1975, it was devastating. We had been advised of the departure of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but no one paid proper attention. So that by the time he was in departure, we were all caught flat-footed. I certainly was. And so no one really knew a direction to take. Imam Warithuddin Muhammad was appointed the leader of the Nation of Islam at that point. Minister Farrakhan was dispatched to Chicago, and the rank and file believer did not know Imam Warithuddin Muhammad. He had recently been allowed back into the nation after a long departure. And his being appointed leader was strange to us because everyone knew Minister Farrakhan. We thought it odd that the stranger should be put in such a position that Minister Farrakhan be overlooked. We didn't understand or know the so-called politics of the nation at that point. And it was very uncomfortable for the average believer, certainly myself as a young man. And my whole life was surrounded, all my major decisions in life had to do with the Nation of Islam. I'm an architect by profession, and I chose that profession to serve my nation, and all of a sudden it's not there anymore. So it affected me in the worst possible way. Because all of my life was built around it, and all of a sudden the carpet has been snatched out.
Yes, sir. But what advice, Brother Munir, would you give to us, people who are now, we in the time period of the Most Honorable Minister Farrakhan time to depart, seeing as how you were prepared and have already been tried with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, what advice would you give to the future generations dealing with the minister?
The mission remains regardless to personality. So the minister has poured himself into us as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad poured himself into the minister, and Master Fard Muhammad poured himself into the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So you should be taking advantage of what has been poured into you. The beautiful thing about this time is that the minister has given us a wonderful tool to allow us to be able to withstand many of the things that we weren't prepared for in the departure of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Study group did not exist at that time. And we were relegated to be baby birds, being fed by the mother bird back in those days. And we just simply learned from the rostrum without adequate study and preparation for what was to come. And we have to take the words and the advice and guidance of the minister to prepare us for this time seriously. We didn't take the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's words seriously. And the minister, in my opinion, I don't know the details, but in my opinion, was one of the few who really sat and listened to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Many, just before his departure, didn't take him as seriously as they should have. And so instead of paying close attention to this very wise and righteous individual, instead of paying proper attention to him, they ignored him or relegated him to be just an old man babbling along and did not really take him heed to his words and guidance. And the leadership was left without a real preparation for what was to come. But the minister has gone well beyond that. The minister has given us study group and the advice to truly study the word, so that if someone comes along that departs from the base teachings, you are already aware that there is something wrong with this, and they will not be allowed to misdirect the Nation of Islam and cause the nation to fall again. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad already told us that the nation would fall, but they would rise and never fall again. So we have to believe that. And his student has seen to that. And I feel very confident that the future generations, particularly your generation, the Joshua generation, will not be fooled by someone who has ulterior motivation.
All praises due to Allah. Yes, sir. Beautiful teaching, sir. Beautiful teaching. And people, honest dripping, people showing you saying peace and showing you love all across the country. Yes, sir. My next question for you is, what was it about the rebuilding process of the Nation of Islam that made you want to rejoin with so many people who were in the nation prior to 75 did not, go this route?
I would, I'm glad you raised that, because there's, I was very active prior to 1975, and I knew the numbers of the population at that time, and it was a very, very large mosque. So to see so few that I can count on my two hands to who would return is very revealing to me, that many are called, but few are chosen.
Yes, sir.
So my choice of returning, it was not instantaneous. Because my life, growing up essentially in the Nation of Islam, I lived a certain way. It didn't really change very much. I chased girls and stuff like that, like any young man would, and other things, but drugs and other things of this world's life did not enter my life. So there was not a particular behavioral change for me, but I always felt that something was missing, something was wrong, because it made too much sense. I'm a very practical thinker, I believe, and the Nation of Islam and what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had taught us, and the wonderful guidance we had from the minister as minister of Mosque number 7, who, when I got my ex as an adult, was the minister over number 7. And he was very clear. We had a tremendous understanding in number 7 in those days. So that information as a backdrop for me caused me to wonder what was going to happen, because where we were in 1975, I felt was not sustainable. It did not make any sense to me. So therefore, something had to be coming over the horizon that would bring the Nation of Islam back. I felt that in my gut. So when the minister began to stand up, I heard rumors that he had stood up. But you have to understand, I was deeply disappointed and felt that leadership had let us down. And I didn't really want to hear too much of what anybody had to say. And I didn't know where the minister was. He was gone. He was simply gone. And so I began to hear things. I didn't go out to meetings for a while. And then there was this big meeting called at a school in New York called IS 201, which was a controversial school back in the 60s. And he had asked for all the old believers to come back. He wanted to make a presentation to us. This is before this big meeting at CCNY. So myself and my then brother-in-law went to hear the minister, and I listened very closely, and I felt that he was talking directly into my heart. But I really wasn't ready to stand back up again, because you had told me this before and you all left me, so I wasn't ready to do that at that time. I was in college, but I wasn't ready to go after that at that point. So then I'd say about a year later, there was another call for a meeting at Riverside Church in New York, and the minister made another appeal to the believers. And then there was a third call at City College in New York. Upon that, now this is now 1980. And I decided I was going to become active, and I did for a brief period. but we didn't really have our act together quite yet. And
Mm.
I got a little annoyed, and I was in college. I had schoolwork to do and things like that. So I said, well, I'll give back when they get their act together, more or less. And then in 1983, I said to myself, and I have to admit, it's a little arrogant of me. I said, you know what? I'm tired of letting these neophytes run my nation. So
Mm. Mm. Mm.
I am going to get active, and I became active, and I've stayed that way ever since. Back in 1983. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, great. Man, that's powerful. Yes, sir. Well, your name, Brother Munir Muhammad. How did that come about, sir?
Okay. Prior to being named Munir Muhammad, I was brother back in the 1970s. I was brother Alfred 30X, and I loved being 30X.
Okay.
So I never wanted to give it up, you know. And so when I stood back up, the then Secretary James asked me at number 7, do you want to keep your old X? I said, yeah. So I was out for 30X. But then I moved to Dallas, Texas, and I still kept my 30X. But I was one of the members of the E-team, saw me in Toledo, Ohio, and then he saw me again in Austin, Texas. Then he saw me again in Dallas, and he's saying, what, brother, who are you? I said, I'm brother Alfred 30X. He said, Dallas guys, what mosque are you in? I said, I'm in Dallas. He said, Dallas got 29 Alfreds? That's a small mosque. I said, no, sir. I kept my X from the old days. So that got back to Chicago. Then the minister in Dallas at the time was Brother Carl, who's a very close friend of mine. And he was told I couldn't keep that X, and I became Alfred X. So then after 2 years there in Dallas, I moved back to New York. And I was in New York. I'm a licensed architect. So the minister was going to be speaking at the Javits Center. And the Javits Center required a seating plan designed by a registered architect. And that's what I do. So I did. I designed it and laid it out, got it through the building department very rapidly. And they were throwing a lot of roadblocks at us, you know. And of course, these roadblocks were designed to stop us from being able to put on the event.
Yes, sir.
So the first roadblock is, do you have a registered architect? And I didn't say anything in the room at first because I didn't want them to know. So they said, yes, well, who do you have? And I raised my hand and they said, oh. So they had to accept well, can you get it through the building department? I got it through the building department within a week. And then I did the design and helped with the layout, of course, and all. And Brother Sharif was there. He was the supreme captain and all, and observed everything. But I got a wonderful experience with the chief of staff at the time, Brother Min Farrakhan. And Brother Leonard saw me at work. And he told the minister of all that went into it. And the minister was very pleased with the design. I had worked very hard to make sure that there were no blind spots in the seating arrangements, because the Javits Center had huge columns and it was a very, very large venue. So I made sure that when someone was sitting in the venue, they did not have to turn their head to see the minister. You could always, I did a spiral design, a radial design rather, and it allowed so that all viewpoints were directly ahead. And when the minister would stand on the rostrum, he could look into all faces directly. He didn't really have to turn his head too much. And so he was very pleased with that. So he then spoke the next day at the National Black Theater there in Harlem. Unfortunately, the building doesn't exist anymore. They recently tore it down. But he spoke there the next day. And I was, of course, in attendance. And the minister did a wonderful lecture. And then he was leaving the platform. And he stopped. And he turned around. And he came back to the microphone. And he said, who is that brother that that did the design of the Javits Center? And I was a little timid because it was either going to be very, very good or very, very bad.
Yes, sir. Yes,
But
sir.
I kind of timidly raised my hand, and the assistant supreme of the time, who is now the supreme captain, Mustafa Farrakhan, saw me, who I've known him since he was a child. He recognized me and said, "There he is." I said, "Oh my God, this is not good." So he then said, "Brother, what is your name, Minister Farrakhan?" I said, "My name is Brother Alfred X, sir." He said, "Alfred, no more. Your name is Munir. Come on down to dinner." And that's how I got the name. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All praises due to Allah. And Brother Munir, I'm very excited to record this history for people, everyone who's be able to see it, but also to see security on a high level of the architecture, how you did a floor plan where the line of sight, all that's beautiful. I never heard it explained that way through the eyes of an architect. That's beautiful, sir. Excellent. And thank everyone who's showing you love. His name says peace, family. Okay, wonderful. My next question is, have you ever been faced with fear? And if so, how did you overcome that fear?
Well, honestly, to tell you the truth, prior to 1975, I never experienced it. It wasn't until after 75 that fear was something that was a concept that I could be familiar with at all. I was convinced that nothing prior to 75, as a Muslim, I was convinced that I could not be defeated in any way because of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and that there was never anything to fear. It wasn't until after that time I began to question myself on that, because it wasn't there anymore. But later, as I began to observe the minister, and as he put the nation back in place, he didn't have any money or help. He did this purely in the same fashion that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had to do in the departure of Master Fard Muhammad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so observing that, the fear began to wane away. I simply, it wasn't a moment of an epiphany. It was just a natural process of observation, of confirmation that what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had taught us was real, and that Master Fard Muhammad had given us a true foundation to work with, and to see the minister simply take the word that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had given him and rebuild the mission of the Nation of Islam purely on the power of the word. That eliminated all fear for me. And I don't think I'll ever suffer from fear again.
All praises due to Allah. Great, great. Yes, sir. Well, Brother Munir, speaking of you being an architect, what advice would you give to not only future architects or those who are going into that a skill set, but those of us who are going into higher education, as far as the importance of it to building a nation? What advice would you give?
Well, architecture shapes environments, and it's a very powerful responsibility. Black architects are really under attack because our enemies understand that. If you are able to manipulate an environment, you can manipulate the mindset and point of view of many people. Just the simple work of doing the design layout and line of sight in the Javits Center is a simple example that you are eliminating distractions from a person that allows them to focus on what they're able to see. So you'll know that by that work, you have a very great responsibility. Architecture is a melding of science, law, and art.
Mm, mm.
And so it's a multifaceted responsibility, very wide ranging responsibility. And so you have to simply take it very seriously. It is difficult to make a good living from it. I've actually directed my sons to go into engineering. In fact, you know one of my sons pretty well, Brother Tariq.
Oh, hey, okay, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
But all of my sons, my oldest son, Rashad, is a structural engineer or in construction. Tariq is mechanical engineering, and my youngest son, Hakeem, is an electrical engineer. But I would say that we need not run from architecture because it doesn't pay as well as you would like. It's a responsibility. And our nation needs those who can design and build and do basically STEM type services. This is what nations are built on. They're not built on entertainers. So while you may be a good singer and you may be a good boxer and you may be a good, maybe you can throw the javelin a long distance. Maybe you can jump real high, run real fast. Maybe you can do all of those things. And that's wonderful as an avocation, maybe. But you can't build worlds with that. That is a service that's offered to the people who are really in charge. So those who are able to build worlds, they are not as well compensated in a world of sport and play as they should be.
Yes, sir.
But you have to know that you have to have these skill sets in order to complete the mission of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the continued mission of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Our nation needs this skill set. If you can sing and you can dance and you can beat people up, that's okay. And we'll still, love you and use you as an entertainment thing. But being able to tell a nice joke will never build a nation. So you have to take whatever Allah has given you as a gift and build on it, using that skill to build your nation. So I have been honored to be able to offer service. I have not been able to do it to the level that I want to. I want to build cities.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I've traveled the world a little bit and I've offered my service to the Nation of Islam on many occasions. And I am pleased that I have had the honor of being able to do that and was given the gift of my name by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for offering such a service. And I am continued in my desire to offer that service. So you'll be able to be a true comfort and servant to your nation. Everybody can't be the minister of the mosque. Everybody can't be the captain of the mosque. We can't be continuing to pay others to give us services that we have the ability within our own ranks to offer to ourselves. And so any of the young people that are listening to this, pick whatever it is that you have that Allah has given you as a gift, develop it and make it available to your nation, because we can't expect others to do for us that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that we have the responsibility of doing for ourselves.
All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. Excellent, excellent. And people, my sister Naima, brother Kente, people showing you love all across the country. And Brother Munir, I can't believe I didn't. Okay, so Brother Joe didn't say this is Brother Tariq's dad. So I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know. I was like, oh, okay, brother, Brother Munir, it's teaching. I didn't know. Of course, I'm familiar with all three of your sons. Many battles of drill competitions, so I'm familiar with
this. That's right.
All praises due to Allah. Yes, sir. I want to do a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast and who continue to show love and assist us and able helping us to record this great history from all of the great believers across the country that we're able to interview, especially today with Brother Munir Muhammad. All right, if you would like to cash app or be a sponsor or donor of the People's Podcast, please let us know. My brother Rashad, Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out if you need any of those. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me, children's book, coloring book, and now Spanish book. All three available on Amazon. My sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country, right here in the studio of Atlanta, Georgia. We love our tiny dancers. Raw Communications. If you're working on a book and you need copy editing, project management, content development, or media relations, please reach out to Raw Communications. Fashion Guys, Urban Streetwear, 314-329-6009. He'll keep you dressed in the best of fashion. Student Minister Robert L. Muhammad, Austin, Texas, conflict mediation, squashing the beef throughout the Southwest region. His wife, Sister Fudia Muhammad, giving birth to a God in the science of child rearing. Please get her book. Brother Kenneth, Bowtie Maker Extraordinaire, who should bowtie see you anywhere across the nation. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry's Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad, COVID-19 Disinfecting Cleaning Services out of Chicago. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, AbdulSharif.com. And last but not least, my two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, which is available on Amazon. Please go get those. Thank you. Right back to our brother Munir. And Brother Munir, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can.
Yes, sir. I wanted to say on behalf of myself and my family that we sending nothing but positive energy and love and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast to you and your family. May Allah forever be pleased with your wife. I call, of course, Tariq right away and let him know that we have nothing but love for him and love for her. She was always very kind to me and my family, and we sending nothing but love to her and thank Allah for the great work that she did for the nation and the great work that she did for you as a family and just being nice to me personally. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, praise be to Allah. My next question for you is, what advice would you give to future fathers?
Well, individuals have offered me wonderful compliments on my sons and asked me often, well, brother, what did you do with your sons to make them the way they are? And I would say to them, I have no idea, but other than faithfulness, I was faithful to my family, and I am faithful to my family. And I try to be a believer of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and a follower of the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I simply did what I could for my nation in terms of service, and I, as an individual, and I offered for my family that I would work and bring all my monies home, other than that, which would be contributed to the mission of the nation. And I respected their mother. You don't have to do magic. All you have to do is your basic responsibility as a human being and a believer. And that's going to translate into your responsibilities as a parent. If you're simply a believer, you ought to, and follow the restrictive law. That makes you a good citizen anywhere you're found on the planet.
Yes, sir.
So that's naturally going to translate into your responsibilities as a member of the community, but also as a parent. Your household will be affected by your submission to Allah and the guidance he offers via his messengers. So there is no special thing that you have to do. Just do the right thing. If you submit to Allah, Allah will guide you through whatever you have to do. So just be a believer, and that'll be enough for you to be able to do the job that you have as a parent.
Beautiful. All praise due to Allah. I see, I've had the honor of interviewing your son, Brother Tariq, and his wife, and dealing with, I see they keep up with them on social media with their children. How has being a grandfather impacted you?
Oh, it's been an absolute joy. When your children grow up and they marry and So when you hear that one of your children is expecting a child, you don't say, "Oh God, what's another one?" You don't say that. You're looking forward to seeing them.
Mm.
And my grandchildren, I'm looking forward to the next one, which I understand Tariq and my daughter-in-law Medina are expecting our third grandchild. So it's the absolute joy and honor to be able to see Allah allowing me to go into the future. You know, we don't understand our relationship with the women of this planet. That is the doorway to everlasting life.
Yes, sir.
If you treat her right, she will allow you to live forever. You'll have everlasting life because she will allow you not only to just plant a physical seed in her that she would help to nurture, but she will plant the character and the spirit of you in that child and allow you to live beyond the grave. So I'm thrilled to see my grandchildren and to see that my wife will be a part of. I told her one day, I said, you know, you don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to get into the hereafter. You're already looking at the hereafter when you see our grandchildren. So don't worry about that. And I don't worry. I'm going to be a part of what Allah has for us in the future by those people that he allowed me and my wife to produce between us.
Beautiful. All praises due to Allah. People showing you love all across the country. My sister Miriam says, "Assalamu alaikum," and people just showing you love. Okay. My next question for you, sir. What type of music do you like to listen to, Bro Munir?
I'm a jazz and old time rhythm and blues. Y'all a little got beyond me with the rap. I'm sorry. I don't have anything against it. It's just that you all have moved on. You know what I'm saying? And not that you left me behind, but I like what I like, and what's for me is for me, and what's for you in the future is for you all. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I like jazz and I like old rhythm and blues.
Okay, great. Yes, sir. Now, when you say jazz, is there any particular artist that you like?
Yes. I like Joe Sample. Okay. He's gone, but I like Joe Sample. I like Miles Davis. I like John Coltrane.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So those are the people that I grew up with. And there's a Caucasian fella named Pat Metheny in the modern context I like quite a lot. Of course, Regina Carter, violinist, and a few other people. I like Charles McPherson. A lot of people don't know him, but he's been around a long time. He's in his 80s now, but he's still doing his thing. So I like him as well. Yes.
All praise due to Allah. Great. Yes, sir. And Brother Munir, my next question for you, sir, is I wanted to make sure that I asked you about the Million Man March. Yes. What was the climate like leading up to that, and how did it personally impact you?
Well, it was a great honor to be there. I was up on the rostrum. You can't see me, but I'm there. On the far right-hand side of any given image, I'm like literally either right on the edge of the photograph or right on just before it, you know. But leading into the Million Man March, it was a great honor to be a part of all of the work that we were doing in New York to prepare for the manhood training programs and all of that kind of thing. And I just saw the majesty of it all as it was building up to that, and to see Allah do his work in the face of opposition. The way he inspired the minister to go around the country. See, the Million Man March isn't something that just happened. This was, a solid year of great work that went in, and I have the honor of being able to say that I was there to see the genesis of it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It happened. It followed the Javits Center and the 369th Armory meeting, which was a month after the Javits Center, which I also had the honor of laying that out as well. And the minister making mention that he wanted to have 1 million Black men in Washington, D.C. And so I'm seeing, as this is building up from prior to any activity on it, the minister's words coming out. I'm standing there witnessing the birth of the 1 Million Man March. So it's a great honor to know that I was right there in the midst of it as it grew and developed. I witnessed history in the making. And so, you know, also it's a little funny thing. My father was there. We had 3 generations of my family at the 1 Million Man March, and my father was trying to get down to where we were. And my brother Harold, who's in Detroit now, but he was living in Chicago, I believe, at the time. He knows the national assistant, brother Ishmael, pretty well. And my father was trying to get down, so we needed to tell him where to come down to. So my brother says to me, you think that brother Ishmael will announce it? I said, why not? Let's give him a try. So we handed the note up to brother Ishmael, and he announced, well, Alfred Eachman, come down to stage left, your children are looking for you. So my slave name was announced to the world at the 1 Million Man March. And of course, everybody was saying when we got back to work, you lost your children at the 1 Million Man March. And we had to say no. The children was myself and my brother Harold, which at that time I might have been about 43 years old, and brother Harold was 39, you know. So it was that was a wonderful, you know, experience there. But to observe from Genesis to fruition, how the 1 Million Man March grew and developed into what it ultimately became, a part of history, was one of the greatest honors of my life.
Beautiful. All praises due to Allah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Well, Brother Munir, I have one more question for you, sir. Yes. Well, first of all, I want to say on behalf of myself, my family, and the Viewing Artists of People's Podcast that we thank Allah for you and your sacrifice to help establish Islam here in North America, and your family. We thank Allah for their sacrifice as well. I didn't know you about your brother, but I look forward to meeting him hopefully soon. I want to ask you, what would you like your legacy to be, sir?
It's an interesting question. I like my legacy to be the continued work of your generation, that I contributed something to the coming generations and children who I will never meet, but will benefit by whatever we do today.
Yes, sir.
My legacy is you stay on the mission as I stayed on the mission, and we will have a world of our own. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. Yes, sir. All praise due to Allah. Well, I want to thank you very much, Bro Munir, for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast. I'll give Brother Joe for not letting me know that it was Tariq's dad who I was interviewing. But yes, sir, you did it. You given us some amazing information as well as inspiration. I love your family, Bro Munir. Man, it's an honor to interview you, and this means a lot to me. And hopefully I'll be in New York soon, or I get to see you soon, so that we can have dinner. And I look forward to asking you a billion questions in person.
I would love to experience that. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. This is Joshua Munir Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam, sir.
Thank you again.